All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's live virtual event. My name is Cassidy Quintana. I am the brand ambassador here at Travel Media Group. And if you can believe it, it is almost September. We are already at part 4 of our social success series for 2025 with one more part to go. I can't believe it, but we already are starting to think ahead to 2026 and everything that's been happening in this past year and how we can apply that into our social strategies moving forward. So before we jump into our topic today of the top 3 biggest social media updates for hotels in 2025, couple of ground rules to go over. There's going to be a lot of information in this webinar, even more so than some of our previous ones. So feel free to take notes or screenshots, but you will receive this recording 1 hour after the event concludes. So don't feel like you need to get everything down while we are live. You will have that recording to resort back to if needed. Couple of the things on the console, if you're not seeing myself as well as the presentation, there are some buttons so you can mess with those settings a little bit. Make sure you're seeing both of those things. Also, we have our hotel social media champion badge, which is right below the deck. We will talk about this on the next slide as well. There's lots of people you can follow from Travel Media Group. Our LinkedIns are linked right over there. So make sure that you connect with us. Everything that I'll be talking about today is stuff we have been talking about all year on LinkedIn. So make sure you're connected with us so you don't miss that. But like I said, let's talk a little bit about this hotel social media champion badge. So this is part 4 of this series. We have around 40 to 50 people on their way to receiving this badge that have attended all of our social success series events this year. So if this is your first one, don't worry, you have plenty of time to catch up. That is why we linked it right below. If you click that link, it'll open you up to a link tree that has the 3 previous social success series webinars. All you have to do is go back and watch those, register, and watch it through the on-demand service. And we will be able to see who's done that. Like I said, 40 to 50 people on their way. Hopefully they're all on here today, or we'll watch it on demand so they can continue on that path. But all you have to do is make sure that you watch all of them. If you can't do it live, don't worry. Just like you get this recording after the event, even if you miss the event in total, you will get that recording on demand. And so then at the end, after we've completed part 5, which is in October, if you have attended every single one, you will get this badge. And then beyond that, if you post this badge on LinkedIn, tag Travel Media Group for a chance to win a social content creation basket. This will include everything that you need to create content from your iPhone. So a tripod, some microphones, and a light that you can clip on as well. So super easy, really nothing you have to do other than attend these webinars, post it on LinkedIn, and you have a chance to win that. So make sure that you get your team involved in this, especially if you're part of a larger marketing team. You guys can all try and enter and get that content creation basket for your property. So super exciting stuff. Really thrilled to see how many people have attended these events. Really good turnout, and you guys keep coming back. So I appreciate that. Super excited to see how many people we have at the end of the year receive this badge. So a little how we've gotten to this point, right? I want to talk about the first 3 webinars we did. We started out in January with bridging the traveler's journey with social media. So just really talking about every point of a traveler's journey and how social media plays into each of those segments. March, we had part 2, which was prepping for the busy season. So I gave a lot of tips and tricks on how to go into that busy summer season, what to post, all those kinds of things. So if you're a winter hotel and you're about to be in your busy season, go back and watch part 2 because there's still a lot of applicable, relevant information for you there. Part 3 was all about creating social video. So I did a whole tutorial with photos around our office here and made a video that you can make as a hotel as well. Super quick tutorial on how to do that, super easy. So make sure you go back and watch that. Obviously today, we are now in August, part 4, top 3 biggest social media updates we will get into. And then part 5, our last part of this series in 2025, which is insane to even think about, but that will be in October. Right below me, you can click that link and go ahead and register for part 5. Go ahead and do that before you forget, especially if you're trying to get that badge. Make sure you are registered for that. So we will be talking about storytelling and building a brand that travelers will remember through your social media. So that's going to be a really good segue into prepping for 2026, right? October is usually the time we start thinking about strategy, thinking about what we need to change for the new year. So that will be a really good event to attend. So make sure you go ahead and register for that. But without further ado, let's get into the information today, right? So these are 3 updates I've kept an eye on all year. They've kind of happened periodically. Some of them started in beta testing, and now these are all officially live. So super, super important stuff. And there's been plenty of updates all year, but these were the top 3 I felt were the most applicable to hotels that could possibly change the way you think about your social media. So number one, let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn. So they recently added some new post analytics. LinkedIn is becoming a much more B2C platform. You know, when we think about LinkedIn, we really just think about business, B2B, and that's still super important. But we're all travelers first, right? I'm connected with a bunch of hoteliers on LinkedIn. I see stuff about their properties. I see their property pages. It's honestly influencing me too, right? So we are seeing a little bit more B2C. So some of these new analytics that LinkedIn is coming out with is kind of putting them in a similar pace as other platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. So they've released these deeper analytics that tie your posts to user interaction. So this will help you understand what content is moving the needle, right? So the first one is this profile activity. This is going to track how many people viewed or followed your profile after seeing a specific post. So, you know, usually on other platforms, you can go look at a time period and see how many followers you gained through that time period, right? Or how many people had viewed your profile in that time. But now we can see on individual posts how many people clicked onto your profile from that post, and then how many people also followed your page from that post. So those are the two updates that are live for everybody right now. There is kind of an additional point to that, which is link engagement. So this measures custom CTAs. Like if you have someone visit your website or you want them to subscribe to your newsletter, this will show you how many clicks and, you know, you got from that. But I will note that this right now is exclusive to premium users with profile links enabled. So hopefully as they continue to test this, they will release this to everybody. But I did want to put it in here because if you do pay for that premium, you will have this option as well. But for everybody that has just a normal free LinkedIn, you still have these two updates on the left. So let's talk a little bit about strategic use for this. This is a really great way to connect your content to the pipeline. And what I mean by that, I want you to think of a pipeline of a traveler's journey, right? From research all the way to booking, all the way to them staying with you, all the way till post-stay. This now gives you an opportunity to see how each content performs within that pipeline. So now we also need to optimize our content formats. We need to make sure that when we look at these analytics, we're not just looking at it and forgetting about it later on. This allows you to figure out what's working and what's not working. So my recommendation would be take 2 weeks, you know, especially during the slower season for a lot of hotels, start testing content, right? Go back over 2 weeks and say, okay, this post did really good. Let's remember that. This post didn't really get no one clicked on our profile from it. Maybe that's something we don't need to talk about too much. But analytics are there for a reason, right? If you're just posting and ghosting and not going back and interacting or seeing what's happening with your content, what is even the point, right? We want to make sure that everything we post is connected to that pipeline, is connected to that traveler's journey. So again, you can try behind the scene tours, event space highlights, amenities, everything that you're posting on your other social platforms. Try it on LinkedIn, especially we know LinkedIn to be very B2B, posting about your event spaces or things or promotions for, you know, conferences or other things like that. So why does this matter? Well, I kind of already said this, but now your marketing team or you, whoever's in charge of this, can trace content directly to new followers and profile visits, website or newsletter clicks if you have that premium feature, and just see these new interactions, right? So this screenshot is a before and after of a post. We see that that additional section, profile activity, is what's added. So I highly encourage you to go look at your recent posts and see how they're performing, right? This is already live, so you're able to see. This gives you a visibility that allows you to make smarter decisions about what to post, when to post it, and why you're posting, right? Which is the whole point of a social media strategy. So that covers LinkedIn. Let's talk about Meta and Facebook now. So Facebook videos will now all be Reels. This was bound to happen, right? We saw with the blow up of TikTok that Instagram added Reels, YouTube Shorts became a thing. We're now even seeing other platforms jump on this. LinkedIn may be next too, but Facebook always had videos, but usually they were posted as a normal video, right? This example of this horizontal landscape video. Now it's going to be posted as a Reel. So this is really going to allow you to streamline the video creation and process. And we'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. But this means that every video that's now posted will be on the Reels tab and they will be in a vertical format. So of course, you can still post your videos in that horizontal landscape, but it will look like this photo does in the middle. There's a lot of black space. It's kind of hard to see. It's not really engaging. I'm probably going to swipe past it because that's just not the quality I want to see in a Reels format, right? I want my videos to look like it does on the left, where it fills the screen. It's very engaging. I want to learn more. I want to watch the video all the way through. So strategically, it's important to start editing your horizontal videos into a vertical format now. So we know and we've seen through TikTok and Instagram that room tours, staff shout outs, amenities, food and beverage are really good things to use as those videos, because you can be, panning across a room, you can zoom in on stuff, and it looks good in that vertical format. So also, this allows you to repurpose content on multiple platforms. If you're already posting a Reels video on Instagram and it's vertical, just repost that on Facebook now, because there is a Reels tab on Facebook. This tab on the bottom used to say videos. Now it says Reels. So when people click on that tab, it's going to look like it does on the left, and your videos will fit perfectly in there because you've already edited them for Instagram and TikTok as vertical, and now you can reuse it for Facebook. So this is important. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious why it's important, but now you're increasing your exposure through the Reels feed. When you're just posting videos, there was a very low chance of it appearing in that video feed. There was a low chance of it appearing in anybody's For You page or home feed. Now you can have easier repurposing between Instagram and Facebook. And we know, and we've seen as TikTok has opened up the world to this short form video, that the algorithm wants that stuff instead, right? It wants those short, punchy videos. They don't have to be a minute long. 10, 15 seconds of a couple items at your restaurant or bar, or some features at your pool. That's what people want to see, because if they're doing that research to see what your property offers, they don't need a whole 1-minute video tour of your entire property. These short videos perform better. They're more likely to watch it all the way through. The algorithm's going to see that they're watching it all the way through and push it to more people. So I do want to point out, though, that any videos that you've uploaded before this update will remain the same format. They will be classified as videos, but videos posted after the change will now be classified as Reels. So also, we know that the company renamed the videos tab to Reels. So if you go on your Facebook app right now, it's going to say Reels on there. It no longer says video. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about your content moving forward, making sure that it is in the format that Meta wants it to be for it to perform the best, right? Okay, update number 3, and arguably the most important this year. If you haven't heard this already, it's been all over, so I don't know how you haven't heard of it yet, but Instagram posts can now show up in Google search. So this went live July 10th, and it's been big, right? It's honestly changed a lot of the thinking behind what we thought Instagram used to be. When Instagram became a thing, it was super trendy to have like a 1-word caption like relax or something similar to that, right? Like if you're sitting by the pool and it just says Zen, something like that. It was trendy. It was cool. People liked it on Instagram. But now that Instagram has slowly, actually quickly become a search engine tool, it's super important to make sure that you are using things that will push your content through these searches. So Google is indexing Instagram content in search results. This gives potential for your post to reach beyond the app. So again, it's important to be mindful that your content is going to be public and visible, more visible than it was before, right? When we think about Instagram content, the only people that were seeing that were people that followed your page, if it maybe showed up in their reels or if it showed up in their feed because somebody else shared it with them. But now you're reaching a whole new audience. Users that may not even have Instagram and search about your hotel online can now see that content just straight up on Google Images, the videos tab on Google. They're able to see all of that stuff. So when you're thinking about posting, make sure it's something you'd be happy to appear in a Google search, making sure that it's worth it to appear in a Google search. So let's talk a little bit about strategy. So when you think about your ideal customer, and we talk about this a lot, and we ask our partners, like, what is your primary demographic? Because that shapes the way we're going to post content, the wording we're going to use. If you have families, if you have more retired couples, if you have young couples, if it's a party hotel, this changes your entire strategy. So think about what your ideal customer would be searching on Google and use those things to your advantage for your post, right? So what terms are they searching for? What keywords, what hashtags are they searching for? Weave those in to your captions or to the videos, right? Google is able to index the text that is on the actual video itself. So that's just as important as it is into the caption. Also, I want to point out this feature called alt text on Instagram. Many people don't know about this. A lot of people don't use it, but it's so important to utilize. So alt text, if you go post on Instagram and you scroll down to advanced settings, hit that drop down, there's a section to add alt text. And the key purpose for this originally was to help people with a visual impairment, right? So they can scroll on Instagram, their screen reader will read the alt text for them. So basically it's a description of what's happening in the photo, like family playing horse in the pool or playing something, playing a game in the pool. That is what it will read to them. But beyond helping those with a visual impairment, Google uses these alt descriptions to index things, right? So if your description talks about hotel pool next to Disney World, it's going to pull those keywords. And hey, we know this is a hotel near Disney. It's going to index it that way. So make sure that you're utilizing this alt text feature on Instagram because it has two purposes that are both equally important. So I like to push that because, again, a lot of people don't use it, and there's multiple benefits to doing it. It really doesn't make you do much more work. You're just describing what's happening in the photo or the video. Same thing with hashtags and keywords. We know this to be important. Instagram has said recently that the importance of hashtags is going down, and we're going to continue to watch that. Again, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn because this is the kind of stuff I read about all day long and talk about on LinkedIn. So I'm keeping an eye on that. But for now, we're still using hashtags. We still think they're important, especially now that it's indexing on Google. It may still be important as a keyword. So make sure you're applying these to static posts, carousels, reels, and videos. Every single piece of content you put out, these steps need to be included in that. So why it matters? Pretty self-explanatory too. Instagram is becoming a new SEO tool. My coworker Chris has talked about social being the new search all year long, and he's just proving it to be correct as time goes on because now this new feature with Instagram, you can't argue it anymore. You can't argue the ROI of social media when your stuff can literally show up on Google now, right? And if you're not on social media, you can forget about showing up on Google too if people are trying to find that social media. So I did a search on the previous slide you saw. I typed in hotels near Disney, Instagram. Every property that had an Instagram pulled up into that feed, right? If you're not on Instagram, you're not going to show up in that Google search. It's the same thing with any Google search. If you don't have that presence online, there's nothing there for you. So that is the ROI of social media, right? It's brand engagement, it's brand awareness. Now you're reaching a whole different demographic than just Instagram users. So I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure you're on Instagram and not only be on Instagram, but be engaged with your profile as well. So now we know social media is now a search channel just as much as a social one. This latest update is just the next evolution of social search. And honestly, I believe we'll start to see this on other platforms. It really is. If you go on Google and you type that same thing, hotels near Disney, click that videos tab, and I've talked about this before, those things that are popping up are YouTube Shorts videos and TikTok videos. So we kind of already saw that a little bit with videos coming through, but now this is able to happen with any kind of Instagram post. So as long as your profile is public, you're using those keywords, the alt text, all of those things, you will be able to show up in Google searches. So kind of just a breakdown of what this will look like. I took an example from the Buccaneer Inn. This was their Instagram post and went live. I then searched the Buccaneer Inn on Google and it brought up their Facebook and their Instagram pages as well as even 2 videos that they had posted recently. So we know with all of that, their search visibility is now going up. So those are just the top 3 updates. I've looked at this here, but we know that social media is changing every day, right? They're beta testing things. They're releasing things to certain users, certain companies to see how it works. So 4 more updates that are important to watch. Instagram is introducing more metrics, kind of similar to the ones that LinkedIn dropped. I don't think all of these are live to every user yet, but some of these metrics that they're beta testing, I will keep an eye on it. So make sure you're connected with me on LinkedIn. They've also launched reposts. So similar, if you've been on TikTok or even Twitter, now X, you were able to repost other users' content. Instagram now has this feature that is live for everyone. And this is kind of a win-win for you and for the guest, right? So for you as a property, now, if your guests tag you in something or tag the hotel in something, you're able to just repost that content and it will show up on your profile. So if you look at your hotel's profile, there will be a tab that says repost. So you have your feed, you have your tagged posts, and now it'll say repost. So you're able to repost content that you're featured in, whether it be, news or guests or other business partners in the area. But now other people can also repost your content, right? If you post a video of asking guests questions, they're able to go in and repost that, which enhances your brand visibility. So super cool. Another huge one is this AI summary and search results. I did that same search, hotels near Disney, and it brought me up a list of hotels depending on my budget, right? So it gave me a whole breakdown of hotels that I could stay at, as well as pulling up some of their videos and references from other guests that have stayed there. So going back to that thing, if you're not using these keywords or, your text on your captions and your videos is just vague, AI is not going to be able to pull that. Meta AI is not going to be able to pull that information. So everything that you're doing into your post is not just for the post, it's for these searches, right? If anyone can search hotels near whatever, hotels near Atlanta Braves Stadium, something like that. You want to make sure that you're incorporating everything that your hotel has to brag about, where it's located, what it's near, if it's near a venue, anything. Use those keywords in your bio and your captions and your videos. Give AI every reason to include your property in that search because it's super important. And then the last one, Instagram did share a guidance on what content forms work best for different goals. I will be talking about this on my LinkedIn page as well because it's really, really good information. So again, make sure you connect with me. You'll be able to see that post most likely on Friday. They released a whole guide on what kind of content works for different goals. A lot of you hotels are in different stages of your social media strategy. So this will be really helpful again when we start to think about the new year and new strategy we want to implement. So just a little recap of these 3 updates. LinkedIn releasing those deeper analytics that tie your posts to real user actions. Facebook, we now know that all these videos will be shared as reels. So this will streamline the video creation and sharing process. And then Instagram, Google is indexing Instagram content in search results. So we know at TMG, we work exclusively with hotels and we eat, breathe, sleep. I especially read about these updates all day long, talking with our CSR team, talking with our social media team on how we can make sure that we're utilizing these updates to our best of the ability, right? So with the LinkedIn updates, if you're already partnered with us, you can connect with your CSR rep, go over these new analytics, right? And look at your content, see how it's performing. This is new insights that can strategically change the way you do your social media. Same with Facebook. Our team has already been making videos in this format, right? They're making videos for our hotel partners that are in the exact guidelines that Meta is asking for because we were already doing it for Instagram and TikTok. Super easy to just plug that into Facebook as well. So if you're sitting here and you currently work with us and you don't have video, this is a super easy add-on. Not much you have to do. Our team is able to take it away. If you're sitting here and you're not working with us, you should be, right? This is stuff that we are looking at every day. We do this for a living. You're a busy hotelier. You're managing properties. You're being guest first, which is super important, right? To make sure that the day-to-day at your property is going smoothly. Let us handle the rest of the stuff you don't want to think about, right? Social media should be the last thing you have to think about because it's being taken care of by our team. Same thing with Instagram. Again, if you work with us in one view, make sure you're going in to add notes of, hey, I want you guys to use these keywords. Here are our biggest attributes of where we're located. Here's some hashtags you can use that will hopefully help your search. So make sure you're utilizing your CSR rep, our social media team, that we are getting your content in front of the correct eyes, making sure that you're showing up in these searches and that you're staying ahead of the curve, right? Again, and our team is always looking at these updates, implementing them. We can make sure that you're up to date and you're staying ahead of that curve.